The holiday shopping season has kicked off in the U.S., and many retailers have even broken tradition by pushing their opening hours into Thanksgiving night instead of waiting for the official start of Black Friday. Now, exactly 5 years ago, the Federal Reserve announced its own unprecedented shopping spree, but it's hardly been helping America's economy. RT's Marina Portnaya met one of those behind the experiment. He now says it was a big mistake.
Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, is America's busiest shopping day of the year. Millions standing in lines for hours or even days before stampeding into stores to snag door-busting deals. Oddly enough, the Federal Reserve Bank has also used this pseudo-holiday to launch its own unprecedented spending spree, otherwise known as quantitative easing. Following the 2008 financial crisis, the Fed began buying up massive bonds to drive down the cost of credit, an experiment pitched at helping Main Street. As the program marks its 5-year anniversary, the former Fed official who helped spearhead quantitative easing is publicly apologizing to all Americans for the role he played. His name is Andrew Hussar, and he joins me now. Andrew, what is so bad about quantitative easing that you felt you had to publicly apologize to the entire country?
I believe we had a very big wake-up call with the financial crisis 5 years ago. We realized we had an economy that was overly reliant on Wall Street, where the banks had become too big and too concentrated for the larger economy. And what I feel quantitative easing ultimately has done is to reinforce that structure in the U.S. economy, and a lot of the benefits of QE have ultimately gone to the banks rather than to the Main Street American.
So if we see that over the course of 5 years, those that have benefited from QE have been the richest people in the United States, or the richest companies, the richest banks, and the majority of Americans are not benefiting from this. Why is QE still continuing?
The problem is that the Fed at this point is the only one doing something, and so it feels like it keeps on having to do something to help. My ultimate argument is what it's doing isn't not only helping, but it may actually be hurting far more dramatically the U.S. economy.
All right, let's take a moment here on RT to look back at 2008 when the Fed unveiled its largest stimulus package in U.S. history. The banks were lending too many mortgages out and not getting their money back in as financial troubles plague the borrowers. Well, the Federal Reserve then comes to rescue and launches a program of massive bond purchases, printing more cash and buying the bad loans from the ailing banks. By pouring more money into the banks, they intended to help the average Joe by driving down the cost of credit so that more Americans could survive the financial meltdown. However, it turned out to be a big win for Wall Street and not for the taxpayers. And with borrowers increasingly missing their credit payments, it means interest rates are about to go through the roof. And the publisher of Trends Journal, Gerald Celente, he warns of dire consequences.
The only reason there's any recovery going on in the United States, or for that matter, the European zone, is that interest rates are at record lows. So as I mentioned, you could buy an automobile at 0%, and what's going to happen when interest rates go up, the housing market again collapses, the auto market collapses, and worse than that, the bond market collapses. And so you're going to start seeing a decline again in people paying mortgages, more foreclosures happening, and that's when interest rates go up, because when interest rates go up, this phony recovery we have in the housing market is going to stop, and a lot of the new people that got into the market are going to have trouble paying off their mortgages.